I'm not sure about you. I was quite surprised that the NFL announcement was made so early. I thought it was for some reason I thought it was later on in the day, but nonetheless, Ravens fans and the team probably got what they wanted. Another shot at the Chiefs. This one on the road in Week One, the Thursday Night Football opener. In fact, prime time, incredible opportunity to make a statement. I'll probably use that word opportunity too much in this video. Can they make up for the missed opportunity that was the AFC Championship game almost 4 months ago? I don't think so. I don't think even a win in Week One makes up for it because the Chiefs are the Super Bowl champions, and the Ravens fans rightfully feel so that their team should have been carrying the Lombardi Trophy. But there's a lot of cast of characters that remain. MVP Lamar Jackson, Super Bowl champion Pat Mahomes, his trusted tight end Travis Kelce, who really tortured the Ravens defense during that 17-10 win in late January. Andy Reid gets a second consecutive Thursday Night Football home opener against a Super Bowl contender, or a team in the Ravens who considers themselves to be a Super Bowl contender. John Harbaugh, his former assistant, brings a 2-5 career record into that game against Andy Reid. To call him his former boss, I mean, at this point, they didn't coach. It's been since 2007 since they coached together. Harbaugh was the DB coach for 1 year in Philly before being announced as the head coach in Baltimore. So it's like a football lifetime ago, really. Both of them have won Super Bowls since that time. Reid, I think 3 of the last 5, and Harbaugh's lone championship was 12 years ago. We as Ravens fans, as I said earlier, rightfully so, think that this franchise should have its third Super Bowl championship. And we're not wrong. People who aren't wrong who still focus on that Chiefs loss, and nor is the anger for that game, I think, going to be assuaged by a win in Kansas City. Look, the intensity, especially on social media for fans, is going to do nothing but ramp up the closer and closer we get to Week One. In reality, in my opinion, only a Super Bowl trophy will remove that stain of the AFC Championship game loss. Very similar to the loss in New England the year before the Ravens won the Super Bowl in 2012. That game, the AFC Championship loss, was a really poor performance all the way around, if you ask me. Offense, defense, coaches, players, very few guys performed at the level that they were capable of. You have to give the Chiefs credit, though. Of course, they converted or executed some tough concepts in critical moments. Mahomes made some unbelievable plays, including a prayer in the middle of the field that found Travis Kelce. But from a Ravens perspective, the team that stormed the league to a 13-4 record just didn't show up that day on either side of the ball. Most of the story, unfortunately for a lot of us football fans, leading up to that Thursday Night Football opener will be about the quarterbacks. Seems like that's all people want to talk about. And Mahomes does deserve a lot of attention and credit for winning a third Super Bowl, but I have to bring this up. So does their defense and defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo. They were second in the NFL at points per game allowed in 2023, at 17 points per game allowed. The Ravens were first, obviously. The Chiefs had given up 22 points per game in 2022, 1 year prior. Their defense, in my opinion, is just as responsible for the last 2 Super Bowls as Mahomes and the offense are. Primarily because, a lot of the reason I should say, is they had a phenomenal draft in 2022. I think it was a huge turning point in their personality shift. Trent McDuffie, George Karlaftis, Leo Chenal. They also took Isaiah Pacheco in the 7th round that year. Brian Cook, a safety. Maybe he hasn't been a 100% starter at times, but he's had an impact. I think he had a defensive touchdown last year, 2 fumbles recovered, and an interception. It was a Ravens blueprint, if you ask me, from the standpoint of how they drafted in 2022 and how those players immediately stepped up, helped them win the Super Bowl against the Eagles 2 years ago, and then this past year beat the Ravens in the AFC, and then the 49ers in the Super Bowl once again. That draft and clutch defensive performances have driven the Chiefs' last Super Bowl wins. And I'm fine if people disagree with me. They won the Super Bowl by first beating the Ravens in Baltimore, holding us to 10 points. Now, look, was part of that a horrible game plan by Todd Monken? Absolutely. Turnovers by some of the Ravens stars, Zay Flowers and Lamar Jackson, turnovers in the red zone? Of course. But nonetheless, the Chiefs' defense put pressure on us such that we were fighting uphill, and those turnovers were in some cases not forced. Zay Flowers and Lamar Jackson did not have to turn the football over in those situations. Uh, it has been an issue for the Ravens team, their franchise, in the last 2 or 3 years. Turnovers inside the red zone in big games. I did a video about it that I'll try to link up here in the description. You can check it out if you wish, where I try to show some of the parallels between the Ravens' road loss to the Bills in the 2020 divisional round, their wildcard playoff loss to the Bengals on the road without Lamar Jackson in the 2022 playoffs, and then this past year, two turnovers inside the red zone against the Chiefs. Spinning it in a little bit different direction, which group of players do you think will have more impact, in your opinion, in week one? The guys that are carryover performers from the AFC Championship game or the new additions? So what I mean, it kind of sounds ridiculous, I know, because on the one hand, the players who are returning, Mahomes, Lamar, Flowers, Kelsey, Pacheco, and all the deep talent on the defensive side for both teams. But then consider the acquisitions that both teams have made. The dynamic has changed on both sides. You got Derrick Henry, Nate Wiggins, Roger Rosengarten, who he'll get thrown into the fire in week one against a very tough, talented, and versatile Chiefs D-line. On the other side, Kansas City, Marquise Brown, Xavier Worthy, Kingsley Suamataia. Apparently the Chiefs were trying to trade up with the Ravens to get a tackle, did so, and got Suamataia one pick behind Baltimore. Jaden Hicks is an underrated safety, if you ask me, that they took in this draft. And perhaps the steal of the draft, if you look at data, I'm not saying that the film doesn't match up with it. I'm just talking about the data. Kamal Hadden had the best season in college football as a corner. It's possible that they don't miss a beat in the defensive back group despite letting L'Jarius Sneed go. And I know there'll be people who will disagree with me and have radically different opinions there, but they do a great job of upgrading positions through the draft. They've drafted extremely well in the last 3 years. This draft here could be just another one that keeps the Chiefs right at the top of the NFL. They also drafted 3 offensive linemen in a deep O-line draft to try to either improve or solidify that group through slow development, meaning those guys may not have to be day one starters. They already had a really good O-line in terms of pass protection. And by the way, in case you don't know, their offense has morphed into a more balanced version of a run-pass offense than many realize in the last couple of years. I'm really excited to see, the Thursday Night Football game, but also from a selfish standpoint, to preview it. Not preview it right now, not right this second, but leading up to the game in the weeks and even months leading up. I'll try to have previews explaining what I think the teams did to each other in the AFC Championship game, how previous matchups have worked out, what worked, what failed, and what I think we might see more of in week one. From a Ravens perspective, obviously, hopefully we see more than just 16 rushing attempts. Let some of the stats flow from the AFC Championship game. Henry at 15 to 18 carries sounds like the minimum to me that you would want, especially on the road. But back to my overall question, I guess, do you think new players or the carryover guys will have more impact in determining the winning team of this game? A long way to go between now and then. But I think there's something to be said for the new acquisitions. I really do. Specifically Wiggins and Henry and Rosengarten. If Rosengarten is the presumed starter at right tackle, he's going to have a big job on his hands facing Chris Jones at times, George Karlaftis, who is terribly underrated in the NFL. And then Worthy and Brown, particularly on the Chiefs side from an offensive standpoint, playing a big role. I would expect Andy Reid to use the speed and athletic ability of those two guys in very unique ways to try to generate big plays. Include perhaps Zach Orr as a new addition from the standpoint of he will be calling defensive plays against Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes and company. Big increase in responsibility and workload for real. Do I think that Orr will be really good as a defensive coordinator? Yes. Do I think it'll happen immediately? Who knows? We're going to find out really soon. But like everything else he's done in his career, he was really good at everything. He's really good as a player. He's been an exceptional coach from everything that we hear. This is going to be a huge learning curve right off the bat for Orr. I think is great for his development as a defensive coordinator, in my opinion, to face this task in week one. Second question, what will the Ravens offense look like? Will it look similar to the one we saw last year, which is very multiple, and at times we couldn't necessarily tell who we were We know the run game was neglected in the AFC Championship game. You can still see it in the stats there. Forgive me for showing it. I know that some of you guys are probably upset at even mentioning of the game or trying to examine it. But the reality is the Chiefs did a good job containing certain concepts, and then the Ravens chose not to return to plays or schemes that were successful the first time we ran them. Maybe it was the 2 touchdowns Kansas City scored to open the game, or the moment got to Harbaugh, Monken, or even Lamar. I don't know. All 3 of those guys have been involved in many big games throughout their careers. I don't think nerves or the moment gets to them. All I know is we did go away from several concepts that had worked in 2023, particularly zone read plays. Quarterback read, QB counter read, or bash, as most people call it, has always given the Chiefs trouble. Lamar's always been spectacular at it. We didn't see it once. I felt like we lost connection with the way we operated offensively, and I have no idea why. Because, like I said, those 3 guys, Monken, Lamar, and Harbaugh, they've been involved in many big games, but it didn't look like it in the AFC Championship game. There's a lot more that could be said, but here now, really, for me, the best thing to do is to focus on this opportunity in week 1 for Baltimore to let the Ravens know, for Baltimore to let the Chiefs know, that is, and the Ravens players themselves, that we're still one of the best rosters, one of the best teams in the NFL. If that is true, if you accept it's true, that the Ravens are still one of the best teams in the NFL, they can go in there and they can get the win to open the year with some hype. It's a tough schedule in 2024. Clearly, it's not going to completely be revealed, I think, until Wednesday, 2 days from now, as I record this. Ravens deserve a tough schedule. They were the number 1 seed in the AFC, division winner, made it to the AFC title game. Beginning at 1-0 with a road win against the Chiefs will create even more hype, number 1, and number 2, I think give the team confidence that could have a snowball effect as 2024 develops. The other thing that'll give this team confidence, it should already, is having Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry back there together in the backfield. They're going to have to be a focus for any defense they face. That's obvious. I'm sure that this game will be close. Both sides of the ball are very competent. The defensive side, I think, is great for the Chiefs. The offense side is not as good over there. Same thing was definitely true for the Ravens last year. The defense carried them for most of the year. We don't know that dynamic is going to continue for Baltimore. The defense might not live up to that standard. I think these 2 guys, Lamar and Derrick Henry, represent not just tremendous talent and playmaking ability in the backfield together, but they've accomplished things already in the NFL separate from one another. And this is no disrespect to the running backs the Ravens have had before, many of whom I really like. Gus Edwards, Justice Hill, who's still here, J.K. Dobbins, Mark Ingram, and others. And I don't mean to disparage the quarterbacks that have been back there next to Derrick Henry with the Titans, but neither of these guys have ever played with someone of the same ability level. And they are if you ask me, they are not 1 and 1A, they are both 1s in terms of the top weapon on this team. And that's a crazy thing to say because Lamar Jackson is a 2-time MVP. It could be a really special pairing and also could set up many other guys to have big seasons. The tight ends, Andrews and Likely. The receivers, Flowers, Rashad Bateman, Nelson Aguilar, we know about, and now Devontae Walker, a rookie 4th-round pick. I think it'll be a fun offense to watch. Do I expect them to come out firing in week 1? No, I do not. Even though we've got Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson, they'll be shuffling or reshuffling the offensive line. The Chiefs return almost all of the defensive players except L'Jarius Sneed, and I think that they will not miss a beat in the secondary. Even though Lamar has had a history of some great week 1 performances, it would not surprise me if this is a 24-20 or 24-21 game, a low-scoring game, if you will. Even week 1 of last year against the Titans, the Ravens got the win, I think 26-9 or 24-9. That was not one of Lamar's statement week 1 performances. He has had them, though, and Monk, you would expect with months to prepare that Todd Monken will be able to come in with a great game plan, one that uses the gravity of his 2 best players, Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, to generate open space for others. I do intend to get out a coverage review video out on the Chiefs against the Ravens this week, meaning looking at the coverages they've played through the years against Lamar Jackson and comparing what they did in the AFC title game. Did they change a whole lot? Did things stay the same? I'm not going to put it out Monday night because I know Coach Evans and at Sip the Tally, and some other guys have a stream that they run. So this is perhaps a Tuesday or Tuesday night premiere. If you guys are interested, please let me know. I really think that the Ravens wide receivers and tight ends will have the ability to make big plays against the Chiefs, even though I think this is a spectacular Chiefs defense. Because we didn't get the 100% version of Mark Andrews in the AFC Championship game, clearly. And then the Isaiah Likely that really tore through the league for 5 or 6 weeks at the end of the regular season, he wasn't on display either. Those two, in my opinion, have the opportunity to go at some of the Chiefs' safeties and their boundary side inside linebackers, although those guys at inside linebacker for Kansas City have played exceptionally well in Spagnuolo's defense, by and large. For a prediction, we're months away, obviously, but 24-20, 23-17, somewhere in that range, in either direction sounds about right. Because, like as I said, both defenses are tough, full of talent. As much as the discussion will focus on Lamar and Mahomes, Mahomes is unbeatable in the playoffs. Andy Reid has Harbaugh's number. Lamar can't win the playoffs game. Andy Reid's the greatest coach ever. All that crap that people talk about as talking points and only focus on those things and don't talk about the defense. I think that neglects where a lot of this game will be won. Which team's defense shows up with a more versatile, comprehensive game plan that makes the opposing quarterback and offensive coordinator or play caller play left-handed. Basically give them less time and space to execute their favorite concepts and make them beat you with secondary or third level concepts. I think that also leads into the D-line being able to get after the quarterback if you can stop or slow down the run. Is it possible it turns into a 35-31 game? Sure. The new rules changes? Absolutely. The league trying to influence the game and move the game towards basketball on grass because of the rule set and giving the referees more leeway to call penalties to reward or assist the offense? Sure. It's possible it ends up 35-31. But absent turnovers, I feel like these two teams are really well matched. And with schematic adjustments by the Ravens defense, mainly get hands on Kelce. Don't overcommit to Mahomes' first look or first move when he's escaping because he likes to double back, reverse back on his path. Make sure that you contain him if you're the inside linebacker in low hole when you're playing man free. I won't name names. And then condense gaps as outside linebackers because we did a very poor job there at times against the run in the AFC Championship game of condensing gaps. In general, we're talking about physicality, overall physicality. The Ravens have a great opportunity to get a win. On the road, in a unique environment, obviously, Kansas City will be getting their Super Bowl banner hung. And so that's kind of a throw in the face at the Ravens by the NFL because we all felt like that was our right, but nothing is given, and unfortunately the Ravens had it taken away from the AFC title game. Without turnovers, with the talent and execution level of the defense, I just don't see how much separation occurs between these two teams, absent injuries or something like that at important positions. I expect the game very similar to the Lions' 21-20 win over the Chiefs in last year's Thursday Night Football opener. Close game where everything's contested, and the difference could be which team can get the run game going for 2 or 3 drives, and maybe even late, like Detroit last year, really took that game over late third quarter, early fourth with the run game, and then that opens up play action pass concepts. For one, as a Ravens fan, I'm happy because it's a great opportunity where there's a high standard to get a win, regardless of what any of us thinks about the Chiefs, about Kelce, all the Taylor Swift drama / conspiracy theories. Mahomes, they're the champs. They're in fact, 2-time champs. And so the standard to go in there and get a win will be extremely high. I think it's a perfect opening game because it forces you as a coach to prepare like a maniac. I know that it's very easy to say, and I kind of already have said it myself, the AFC Championship game was a great opportunity to prepare like a maniac, and that did not occur on either side, offense or defense, from Todd Monken or Mike Macdonald. This will be an early measuring stick and something that could force the team to get better immediately if we have any weaknesses that the Chiefs are able to exploit. They're going to try to exploit them, and the coaches and players have an opportunity to adjust during the game and or heading into week 2. I really like that. I really like that dynamic compared to maybe a couple of winnable games to begin 2024 that don't reveal anything to ourselves about our weaknesses. You have to let me know what your thoughts are. I totally understand if people would say, well, coach, I'd rather have 2 winnable games up front and start 2-0. I get it. I would rather see our weaknesses get exposed. And so those things be out in the open such that we have to address them. I had some time this morning after the NFL's announcement to kind of put some picks together and some of my thoughts and get a video, really just a reaction to the announcement. I'd like to hear what you think or read what you think in the comments section about this week 1 matchup. If you agree with me that it's a tremendous opportunity for the Ravens, number one, and number two, that I think it's quite likely or possible that most of the media attention right now and leading up to that week 1 game is going to be a little bit off target, meaning sole focused on the quarterbacks and the offense, where really both of these teams have defenses that take control of the game for the most part. Appreciate you guys' time. If you think other Ravens fans would enjoy this reaction to the week 1 announcement, then please consider grabbing a link to this video, sharing it out on social media to help this content get more reach.